नहीं आ रहा ना, वी आर लाइव नाउ।
सर मैंने अभी स्टार्ट स्ट्रीमिंग किया है ना, इसलिए उसके बाद ही लगेगा।
तो अब मुझे स्टार्ट करूँ लेक्चर अपना?
हाँ जी आप स्टार्ट कर दो, मैंने डाल दिया सर।
ठीक है मैम। गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन, कैन यू हेयर मी? कैन यू हेयर मी? Good evening. Durga Prasad, good evening ji. Kanan, good evening. Can you hear me? If you can hear me properly, please type yes. Good evening Arnab. Please type yes if you can hear me properly. Yes, Anurag, you can hear me. Arnab, you can hear me. Okay. So we are starting in 1 minute. We are waiting for our lovely students, our regular students basically. Good evening Gaurav. Okay, so we are starting with the MCQ questions. These MCQ questions are part 2 of Prospectus and Allotment of Securities chapter. Okay. So the first question is, a prospectus issued in the form of advertisement must state A. the object for which the company has been formed, B. the liability of members, C. the amount of share capital of the company, D. all of the above. Good evening everyone, Anupama, Nishchal, Ashwini. Now please concentrate on the question. A prospectus issued in the form of advertisement must state the objects for which the company has been formed, the liability of members, the amount of share capital of the company, and all of the above. So what is the answer? Guys, please wait a minute, just 1 minute pause. So the answer D, all of the above. Okay, Supriya has written all, Vasla has written all. Okay, Vishal has written, is this first attempt of SEBI for all? You should not discuss about this, you should concentrate on the questions. Ashwini has written all, Anurag has written yes. Supriya, is video paused? Yes, video was paused for a minute. Please tell me the answer of this question. हाँ जी सर, जो एजुटैप का कोर्स है वो रिकॉर्डेड है या लाइव क्लासेस है? वो रिकॉर्डेड क्लासेस है पर अपडेटेड क्लासेस है. So Anupama Yadav is saying D. So the answer for this question is D. Okay, the answer is D. So we have studied in the contents of prospectus that it should contain the objective of the company. It should basically contains all the things that are mentioned in the memorandum of association. So the object clause is there, the liability clause is there, the capital clause is there. So all of the above is the correct answer. Everything should be mentioned in the prospectus. Clear? Now moving further, next question is, any changes between red herring prospectus and a prospectus shall be highlighted as variations in actual prospectus, true or false. Okay, so you have read in section number, I guess 32 or 33, 32, yeah, you have read about red herring prospectus. That first red herring prospectus is issued, after that actual prospectus is also issued. So if there are any changes between the date the red herring prospectus was issued and after that actual prospectus was issued, so if there are any changes, so should these changes be highlighted? You've said yes. Okay, the answer for the question is yes, you are right. Next question, red herring prospectus shall be filed by the company with the ROC at least dash days prior to the opening of subscription and the offer. 3 days, 10 days, 30 days, 60 days. How many days before the opening of subscription and the offer should we file the red herring prospectus to the registrar of companies? विशाल सर, कंपनी एक्ट अपलोड हो गया कोर्स में. कंपनीज एक्ट चैप्टर बाय चैप्टर अपलोड हो रहा है. फर्स्ट चैप्टर अपलोड हो चुका है. somebody has written 3 days, Vishal has written 30 days. No guesswork is allowed. Okay, you should be sure. So Priya has written 30 days, Anupama has written 3 days. The correct answer is 3 days. Okay. Next question. Dash means a prospectus contained summary of original prospectus so as to save cost and time. So what is a summary of a prospectus known as? Deemed prospectus, red herring prospectus, shelf prospectus or abridged prospectus? No issue, Supriya. Please answer the question. Dash means a prospectus contained summary of original prospectus so as to save cost and time. So a summary of prospectus is known as deemed prospectus, red herring prospectus, shelf prospectus or abridged prospectus. Nischal has written D, Bharat has written D. Anuradha has written A. Ketan has written C. Okay, Anuradha has written deemed. Ashwani has written A. So the answer is D. Abridged prospectus is a summary of prospectus. Normally it is included in the application form. Okay, so summary of the whole prospectus is included in the application form, and that is known as abridged prospectus. Next question. A company shall file return of private placement in form number dash. A. PAS3, B. PAS2, C. PAS4, D. PAS5. Good evening, Jyoti. A company shall file return of private placement in form number PAS3, 2, 4 or 5. Please answer this question. A company shall file return of private placement in form number PAS3, 2, 4 or 5. उज्जवल कुमार इज आस्किंग सर ऑनलाइन कोर्स में कॉन्सेप्ट थ्योरी के साथ हैं या ऐसे एमसीक्यू फॉर्मेट प्लीज. सो ऑनलाइन कोर्स में पहले थ्योरी पढ़ाई जाएगी, कंसेप्ट पढ़ाए जाएंगे, देन एमसीक्यू दिए जाएंगे आपको. स्वप्निल यू डोंट हैव एन आइडिया. ओके, अनुपमा PS3, राजा by PS3. So the answer is PAS3. So the form for return of allotment is PAS3. Okay, so when you are seeing the term return, okay, return of private placement or return of allotment, the answer will be PAS3. PAS basically means prospectus and allotment of securities, form number 3. Next question. ABC Private Limited is a private limited company desirous to issue shares through private placement to group of person. Okay, so it wants to issue shares through private placement. At the same time, company also offers securities to 2 qualified institutional buyer. I've told you the meaning. It is mutual fund companies or LIC companies, those who have the expertise of the financial market. Okay, so while calculating the number of persons for private placement under section 42 of the Companies Act, can company also consider number of qualified institutional buyer to whom the securities has been offered? So PS basically means prospectus and allotment of securities. Okay, short form for that. So these are the PAS 2, PAS3, they are the name of the forms. Yes, no, partly yes or partly no. Yes, no, partly yes, partly no. So the answer is no. Apart from qualified institutional buyer, one more person is excluded. Please write the answer for the question. Who else is excluded apart from qualified institutional buyer when we are counting the limit in private placement? Who else is excluded in the total number of people to whom we can allot the share through private placement apart from qualified institutional buyer? There is one more category of person. Okay, Swapnil has written employees. Okay, so Arnab has written B. The answer is B. You can see it, but I am asking apart from qualified institutional buyer or qualified institutional investors, one more category of person is there who is not counted in the limit when we are giving private placement shares. Yeah, Anupama has written the correct answer. It is ESOP. Swapnil, your answer is also correct. ESOP given to employees. So there are 2 exclusions. One is ESOP and other is qualified institutional buyers. Next question. The company shall file prospectus with ROC and SEBI containing details of. So which all details should be there in the prospectus? Total capital raised, closing and final price of shares, any other details not included in red herring prospectus, or all of the above? We are talking about red herring prospectus here, okay? The question basically means that earlier we have filed a red herring prospectus. And now we wish to file the actual prospectus also, because after some days we need to file the actual prospectus. So what all should be the content of actual prospectus? D, all of the above. Okay, so the answer for the question is D, all of the above. So you are right. Are you counting how many answers you have given correctly or wrong? At the end of the session we will count our marks, okay, out of 10. Next question. Mr. Ram applies for share on the basis of a prospectus which contain misstatement. The shares are allotted to him, who afterwards transfer them to Mr. Sham. Can Mr. Sham bring an action for a decision on the ground of misstatement? This is company, this is Mr. Ram, this is Mr. Sham. So the company has issued shares to Mr. Ram and Ram has sold the shares, transferred the shares to Mr. Sham. Okay, so Ram has bought the shares from the company because he has seen the prospectus. Now there was some misstatement in the prospectus, there was some error in the prospectus, but the shares have already been transferred to Mr. Sham. Okay, so can Mr. Sham revoke the contract with Mr. Ram? Can Mr. Sham revoke the contract with Mr. Sham on the ground that there were misstatement in the prospectus? Kanan has written yes, Supriya has written yes, partly yes. Ketan Shivani has written no. And if yes, why yes? If no, why no? The answer is B, no. The answer is B, no. He cannot design the contract on the ground of misstatement. The reason for this is, as per section 37 of the Companies Act, Mr. Sham cannot bring an action for decision on the contract to buy shares from Mr. Ram on the ground of misstatement. Suit may be filed. Who can file the suit? We have read about class action suit and we have read that who can file the suit. So as per section 37, a suit may be filed or any other action may be taken under section 34, 35 or 36 regarding the misstatements only by any person, group of person or any association of person affected by any misleading statement or the inclusion or omission of any matter in the prospectus. You have to stress on the word only. So only that person who has purchased who has believed that the contents of prospectus was correct, and then only he has bought the shares of the company, believing the content of prospectus was correct, only then he has bought the shares of the company. Only that person, if he has been deceived, he can file a suit against the company, not the person to whom he has sold the shares. Anurag Singh, there is nothing different between partly yes and partly no. That was just an option. No, they are not, Swapnil, they are not applicable to them. Basically, section 34 and 34, we are reading about allotment of securities. We are not reading about transfer of securities here. Na? Transfer of securities are another chapter. That is not a part of our curriculum. Okay. Next question. Shelf prospectus is valid for dash years. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year. Shelf prospectus is valid for 1 year, 2 years, 3 year or 5 year. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year or 5 year. Shelf prospectus is valid for how much time? Nishchal has written 1. Yeah, Ram can file, but now Ram is not having the shares, na Vishal. He has already transferred the shares, so he is at no loss. Why would he file? Vishal has written 5. Praveen has written A. A 1 year. Okay, 1 year only. Vishal has written 1 year. Arnab has written 2 years. So shelf prospectus is valid for 1 year only. Okay, shelf prospectus is valid for 1 year only. We can move to the next question. Last question. A company fails to issue a regular prospectus if any person is not satisfied with abridged prospectus, and he can demand a regular prospectus from the company. State the penalty for non-compliance. Okay, if a person is having abridged prospectus and is not satisfied with that, he asks the company to give him a detailed regular copy of the prospectus, and the company denies that I won't be giving you the copy of actual prospectus. So what will be the implications of on the company? What will be the penalty on the company for non-compliance? Ram has written A. Nishchal has written B. Let us see who will give the correct answer. Okay, this is a very important question for examination. Let us see who will give the correct answer for that. 1 lakh. Okay, Jyoti has written B. Arnab has written B. Okay, so you are sure? Raja Solanki has written D. Raja, why D? You think that it is not 10,000, 1 lakh or 5 lakh. So what is the penalty? DSK view has written 50k. Okay, Ram has written C. The answer is D. None of the above. As per section 33 of the Companies Act 2013, if a company makes default in complying with the provision, the company shall be liable for a penalty of 50,000 for each default. 50,000 for each default. Okay, so that was a trick question. Okay, so the answer is none of the above. You have to remember penalties of each and every section. Okay, they are very important and they can be asked in the examination. Okay, Swapnil, so now tell me how many marks you have scored out of 10. Supriya, only the person who has believed the prospectus content. Okay, in Bear Act section 37 says any person can file suit. Any person can file, but that person should be believing on the prospectus and then he should buy the shares. In the example I have given, Ram has purchased the share from Shyam has purchased the share from Ram. Okay, he has not seen the prospectus of the company, so he cannot say that I believed in the prospectus of the company and there is misstatement in the prospectus of the company. On that ground, okay, the rescission of the contract is not valid. 8 out of 10, 7 correct, 7 correct. Yeah, Jyoti, ये गूगली क्वेश्चन था. Jyoti 6 out of 10. Parvesh and Anupama are on top. Anybody who scored 10 out of 10? Anybody scored 10 out of 10? Supriya, is your doubt cleared? Supriya, is your doubt clear now? Anurag, thank you. So in a detailed course, there are a lot of MCQs like this that are probable that the SEBI will ask them. Yes, Supriya, Shyam trusted Ram. Okay. So anybody who has scored more than 8 marks? Anybody who scored more 9 marks or 10 marks? Who has more chances to get select? DSKV, sir, are there more sessions on chapter 3 No, I don't think there are more sessions on chapter 3. Thank you, Nishal. So nobody has scored more than 8 marks. Okay. So that's all for today. Thank you very much.